If my northern accent increases by about 30%, we've got our next guest to thank for that. Donna Young is with us, the school counsellor at Horizon International School. How are you, Donna?
Oh, I'm absolutely marvellous, thank you, Helen.
I'm really pleased you're here. I wish you'd been at my school when I was a teenager. I really, really do, because I feel like for someone to be there to answer questions, to be a bit of a... I was thinking about a bit of a sat-nav. That was the phrase that came to mind there.
Absolutely, yes.
Would you mind explaining what your job entails as a school counsellor? Because different schools do it in different ways. But what is it for you?
They do. It's one of those things where different schools have different needs, and it's the same, the world over. Very much my role is to sit alongside young people, just chat to them. I think that's the first thing that we do. And build that relationship, get to know them, what their dreams are, what they're good at, what they enjoy. Because we know this, there's lots of evidence to say that the children that go on to do anything, and especially at university, their choices are based on what they enjoy, not just their employability. Mm-hmm. But it's also about providing opportunities and activities that help them discover themselves and what their skills are. Because we're all the same. What we know and what we can do can be two different things, and we need to have the right information, but also to be able to do certain things to think, oh, I actually do like that.
Or I don't. Because
absolutely,
I think sometimes you can find yourself being stuck in a rut or stuck in someone else's expectation of what you should be doing. And actually, when it comes to trying it, this makes me miserable.
Yes.
What trends are you noticing from some of the students? Are you getting lots of, I want to be a YouTuber?
Well, actually, that's the surprising thing. No, we don't get lots of that.
Phew.
And it is very different. Coming from the UK, there are lots of patterns and trends, that parallel the workplace and university. In Dubai, it's very much business is one of the most popular choices in not just in schools but universities here as well. Technology, anything to do with technology. We do get a lot of students that like media students. Is very popular. Law, finance, those sorts of areas.
It's interesting about the business thing, because I think of Dubai being a very entrepreneurial city, and a lot of that can be with families that have grown up here or settled here and have their own businesses.
Yes.
And I love this idea of a kind of children being brought up in an entrepreneurial idea
Absolutely.
in a home and thinking, actually, if there's not a job that exists that I want, then I'll just create one.
Absolutely, and we do find that students that go on to do A levels, and then after that, whether the university is not for them, there is something that they've always got a plan B, C, D, and so on. And that is something that is a big difference. It's a very long time since I made my choices. I'm a 60s child, so it is wonderful to see, and that young people are constantly evolving in exploring, and they're curious.
Good.
So it's not, they may say, I want to go into the legal profession. It's not like what you see on the TV, what they want. They want to go on and work for the UN. It's not something that's traditionally what I would think about legal studies.
Interesting.
It's something that's quite relevant and, today reflects today's society.
And I think you're right. Even yourself, talking about changing careers in your 50s. I think that is the case now. People are
Absolutely.
a lot more, fluid and flexible and changing. And there's a real danger of getting very stuck on an idea very, very young. I'm probably quite a good example of that. I was 14, I think, when I decided I was going to do broadcast journalism at Leeds University. It was a BBC degree, and I got all of my part-time jobs to get around that, and it was really competitive. There were only 30 spaces, and I got on it, and I didn't really like it. And I graduated, and I had what I can only look back on as a bit of a quarter-life crisis of going, oh my God, what do I want to do? And what else is there? How can you... this is a difficult question.
I like the difficult ones.
If you have a student that comes to you who is blinkered and dead set on something that you are like, I'm not 100% sure that that's the best path for you, how do you help them explore that?
I think the first thing, you have to respect that. because that is a normal, it's very normal, it's more common than you think as well. And it is the key is to empower students, whether it's the students or their parents.
That's what I'm getting at.
Absolutely.
What if that idea has been put in place from parental expectation?
Absolutely.
And they come to you and say, Donna, they want me to be a lawyer, but I want to be a tree surgeon.
Yeah, and the influences on any child or any student's pathway are massive, and one of them are preconceived ideas, and in particular parents, they are a very important part of the process. Quite often it could be, well, we didn't go to university, so you are definitely going, and thank you very much. And it is about making sure that we get access, both, sort of children and parents, access to good information, and to acknowledge and respect that knowledge change and behaviour change takes time. So spending time with them, giving them access. We use something in school called Unifrog. Unifrog. Now it's it started as a university platform, and it has mushroomed and takes into account the international audience now. And there are some excellent resources on there, and for all age groups. And the information.
Hang on, I'm just thinking. So if someone who is listening now and they're like early 40s and they go, my life, I'm really not enjoying my career. Could you go on Unifrog and start asking some questions?
It's something that we buy in as schools.
So it's like a proper education resource.
It is, but there are other platforms out there. I would say, UCAS, it's the UK's university platform. That is free, open to everybody. Again, it's evolved. It's huge. It's wonderful. Get an account, any 40-year-old out there that's got something to think about, use it. And there's something else called Prospects. There's some incredible high-quality information out there. And I think that's the key to all of these things. But also back to what sort of, just to link in with what you were saying before, that it's riding those changes and accepting, actually, it's about wiggly careers now. Wiggly careers.
A wiggly line. I interviewed someone who has dedicated her life to talking about the wiggly line career.
Absolutely.
Can you explain a little bit about it?
It is not my term. I love it because
great,
it's very northern, because it's it's a little bit onomatopoeic and a bit silly, and I love that. Somebody else came up with the term. And we've got this idea, there are lots of academics that use this, that the change that run parallel to political, societal, industry-led changes that will influence, because that's what education is. It's a reflection. We are preparing children for the real world. So it will change. But and also, it doesn't end when we leave school.
Well, no, it doesn't. And that's what I find really interesting, to think that we put such... kids making really big decisions. I'm like, you're 13 and you're thinking about, okay, if I do these GCSEs, then that's going to lead to this A-level, and then that's going to lead to this university, and then that's going to lead to this career. And I'm like, you're just a kid.
Yeah. And I think that's why the opportunities that we provide in school, that there's got to be an element of fun, and we bring guest speakers in, and we take them on visits and trips, and very much. And there's a TED talk on this idea of, I think they call it squiggly careers, and it's about the wiggliness of it all. And it's great. And it's about sharing that narrative that's different. I was destined to be a secretary. And then when I got married, I was at home having children. That was my career's advice. And I didn't listen then. And I didn't, I still don't listen. So there you go.
I love you for it. Now, we've had a question which I'm glad we have. This came in from Naomi earlier. Saying re-careers, daughter has no idea what she wants to do. She says she regrets her A-level choices, wish she should done better in her science GCSEs. She's refusing to consider universities or visit them, and hasn't started a personal statement. I've tried everything I can think of, but it ends in an argument. I'm at a bit of a loss. I've suggested a gap year or applying for a general type degree to keep the options open. She just says she hates studying, but she also says she wants to go to university. And then Naomi has written, in capital letters.
Absolutely. Well, just to share, I went through something similar with my son, and he's 32 now. And I think that, the dynamic between, we want the best for our children. And I also believe in life stage decisions, that my son similarly just got fed up of being told what to do and studying. And it could be that. So feeling bad about herself and, this has not worked for me. But actually all of those things have helped her to understand, this one is not for me, but there will be something else. So reassurance is massive. Something will turn up, absolutely. But it is about that key information. And at the moment, if she's refusing to do things, just acknowledge that. I think acknowledge, accept, okay, let's just take some time out. And my son went to be a dishwasher for a little bit because it was his decision. Probably just to cheese me off a little bit as well. Okay, all right. And then 4 years later, he went to university on his terms and came out with a first-class degree and went then on to do his master's. And I think that's the key. It's sometimes very, very difficult as a parent to go, okay, you will find your way, maybe not just yet. So some reassurance that something will turn up. It's maybe just the time and at the minute. She needs maybe just to take a breath.
And it's hard as a parent. I'm learning, you think you've cracked it and then they get a bit older and they change. And, a bit of advice I heard recently was about when they get into that teenage, that you're not a manager anymore. You're not the one who's like managing everything. You're a coach.
Absolutely.
But I would imagine, Naomi, some of these conversations, probably the more you ask, the more resistant, the more walls going up.
Absolutely.
And maybe that's where someone like a school counsellor or someone external could maybe help her explore things without feeling like she's being nagged at. Not that I'm saying you're nagging, Naomi, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
This is Eye on Education on Afternoons with Helen Farmer.
With Ranches Primary School, a nurturing community school and nursery committed to holistic education in the heart of Arabian Ranches too.
In conversation today with Donna Young, school counsellor at Horizon International School. We've only just got a minute left, Donna, but I wanted to ask you, what do you feel like we haven't touched on, or what do you feel like is really important to address for parents in particular listening today who might be trying to have conversations with their teens to guide them and ultimately make them the happy, successful, kind, wonderful humans that we know they can be?
It's just to touch on really, the previous guest touched on this as well, the awareness and our understanding and our preconceived ideas about vocational education and what that means. And it's not so clear cut. It might be, okay, I know what vocational is. I want to be a hairdresser or I want to, work in a bar. It's not that clear cut because BTEC's actually are very academic as well. You need to know a lot, applied qualifications. I know that, any applied science, it mirrors very much the same as A-levels. They still have to sit exams. They still need to know stuff. And I think we should explore and be open to ourselves and our own preconceived ideas that actually they are not easier. They may be an alternative and different. There may be more practical work experience elements to it, in particular like sports science. But also, I think that the misunderstanding that, this will, the stigma attached means they won't get into university. And I love the fact that was brought up in the previous conversation.
Yeah, good.
Apart from medicine, they are very well respected across the world. And that is so important.
So, last question to you, Donna. What did you want to be when you were a kid?
I wanted to be an anthropologist and go and disappear up a jungle and,
It's never too late if anyone can do it. I'd put my last dirham on you. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
your time.
Helen. It's a joy.
It's been an absolute pleasure. That was Eye on Education. I'm Helen Farmer and you can catch us live on Dubai Eye 103.8 every single Thursday afternoon.